Alright. Man, this is a great looking layout. Shoutouts to FM for this baller layout.
Okay.
Alright.
So, just real quick, we're raising some money for 4 of our folks that are going to HDQ. So if you have a couple bucks, even like $2 or $3 that you want to throw our way to help us out with travel and lodging fees while we're there, we would very much appreciate it. So, are you all ready to go?
Yeah, it looks like the left side, the far left, is a bit cut off. The black area should be about double the size on the left side. Move it over.
Yeah, I gotta resize that because I changed that for, I think, Glamuwana?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll go fix that real quick. I'll be right back.
Robo-Voix. Yep. So welcome, folks, to Star Wars Episode 1. We're just gonna get it so that we can see every single beautiful pixel of this incredible video game before we get going. Hey, I like showing the games as they should be shown. I let one marathon stretch a 4x3 game to 16x9 before, and never again will I let somebody get away with that. Okay, perfect. Perfect. We in there. Okay. So, I'm gonna wait for Boix to get here before we start the timer. But before we get going, we'll let you know that in Star Wars Episode 1 runs, runs are done with the voices off for most of the run. Most of the run. Also, hopefully the game doesn't explode, because I left it on the menu for too long, because this game will just break at the drop of a hat. So, we'll see.
Alright, I think I'm good to go. So, because I'm jumping from computer to computer and the timer is on my other computer, basically I'm going to just let you know in chat when I'm ready, and then you can just count down.
Okay. Alright then. Hold on to your butts, folks. This is a special video game. It's pretty good. So we're just waiting for the countdown here, then we'll be good to go. So you, also, if you have a copy of the movie for this, you're going to want to start it when I start, but play it at double speed. And the gameplay will pretty much exactly match up with the movie at double speed. Okay? Alright. So, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright. So, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Woo. Okay. So, this is the official game that came out alongside the movie. There is a PS1 version and a PC version. They are almost the exact same game. But the PlayStation version is a little special because they tried to make it the same game between both versions, but the power of the PlayStation can't quite handle all of the wizard and pod racing stuff in this game, so there were a few oversights in the engine. So here's oversight 1. I can just do this and backflip on top of the level. And then, if I get the setup correct here, which this can be tricky. Okay, that is nowhere near the right setup. Okay, so this is kind of the first tricky skip in the run. So there's going to be a lot of safety saving going on in this, because there are a lot of really precise and really difficult skips I need to do at the start of the game, and this is the first one. So, I don't know if you could tell, but I'm clearly not supposed to be up here, and the game really doesn't like it that I'm up here trying to do bad things with the colliders. So there we go. I just skipped 90% of the level, by the way, by jumping on top of the level right when you start, and then I have to go to a very specific part of the level, drop down at a very specific angle, and then that gets me to almost near the end. Here's another really difficult trick. This is a 3-frame window trick, and this is a 60 FPS game. So I have 1/20th of a second to get the correct input there, and there I got it, second try. I didn't even have to load a save. So if you miss that 3-frame window to stop pressing down and then press up again, you just die. If you fall off there, you just die. It's a game over. Alright, so there's the first level. As intended, that level takes like 10-15 minutes, and even with a very bad first level, that was still pretty good. Alright, so if you got the movie playing alongside, it should exactly match up right now.
Oh, we have a donation, actually.
We do? Alright, sick.
$5 donation from Kronk says, good luck with your goal. Hope to see your team at AGDQ. Thank you so much for that, by the way.
Thank you, Kronk.
And yeah, we'll be representing.
Yep, team value will be in effect at AGDQ. Is this world record pace? It could possibly be. Alright, so now we're on Naboo, in the swamps of Naboo, where we are fairly soon going to see the everybody's favorite character from episode 1. Fairly soon, though. Alright, so these, you just push these over. There's only one of those droids that's actually a problem, and it's the commander. He's the only one that can shoot at you there. So here is the one skip that I found in this run. So, if you go up the intended way up to the left up that hill there, there's a little cutscene with everybody's favorite Jar Jar Binks. But, if I get this angle correct, and it's currently not working out, there we go, okay. So we can jump onto this tree here. I need to safety save here because this is another one where if something goes wrong, you just fall through the world and die. We may or may not be seeing Captain Panaka. Okay, we got it. So sometimes when you try that backflip there, you just fall through the floor and die. Because, you know, Star Wars. Alright, so I just skipped a bunch of platforming and a bunch of extra enemies spawning. So here I get this. Gungan energy balls. We're going to need that for later. I don't have to worry about damaging myself too badly here, because this game is fairly good with health drops. During this level specifically, there's a lot of like really weird places in the level where if you just walk into a corner, you'll fall through the world and die. It's like they didn't put collision in some pretty weird spots in these levels. Yep. There's Jar Jar. Remember, I have voices turned off, and we'll see why I have voices turned off later. It's not because I don't like listening to Jar Jar, but there actually is a speed reason why I don't have voices on. So here's just some more platforming. This platforming is a lot harder than it looks because the frame rate is really bad in this game, and sometimes it'll just eat your jumps, like what happened there. Like if you try to do input on a part of the game where the game is going, no, I don't want to render this frame, then it just won't do your input. Yes, this game does have tank controls. So here's another skip. If you land on the left side of this rock, or on the left side there, you skip a cutscene with Jar Jar. And if I land... Okay, whew, that was so close. If I do that, I can skip going through the rope. There's also a weird glitch that's happened there before, but whatever, it didn't happen. Okay, here is another skip. Normally there's a block you have to push here and another little platforming section, but instead we can, if I get the angle correct, slightly off here, I can clip through this wall, and then I am on an invisible tree trunk right now. There we go. And we just jump to the wall. Easy peasy. Okay. Get this. Alright, here we gotta trigger the Jar Jar cutscene. So this gets Jar Jar going. The level doesn't end until Jar Jar gets to the end of his walk path there. And if he ever gets shot by anything, he stops walking. So I want to have him keep moving, because there's a cutscene with Qui-Gon near the end here. Okay. And now, right about here, I need to hit a cutscene trigger. When the bird flies off, that causes these battle droids to spawn. If these battle droids are there while Jar Jar's still walking here, then they'll shoot Jar Jar and he'll stop moving, and that's not fast. And if I don't spawn those battle droids there, or make that bird fly away, Qui-Gon doesn't spawn. So there's no way around getting Jar Jar to move here. You just kind of have to do it. So there's level 2. Level 2 has a lot less skips in it. It's more as intended as level 1. But there's still a lot of speed tech in it. And then level 3, when we get to it, Oto Gunga. Oh baby, what a level. So every time you see this no signal screen, it's because I'm using a frame meister to capture this, and the in-game cutscenes and the gameplay are different resolutions because PS1. So my upscaler can't change resolutions in time. Alright, level 3, Oto Gunga. So this is where we're supposed to request help from the Gungans. And then Jar Jar gets captured, and then we need to go get him out of jail. But instead, before going to meet the boss of the city, we're going to instead do this, jump twice, and then whoops, we fell through the world. No big deal. So that skipped a bunch of cutscenes and God, I think like 2 elevators. So that's pretty good. This guard here is invincible for some reason. I don't know why. Like, you can try all you want to kill that guard, and you just won't die. Alright, here's the hardest jump in the entire game. It's an actually required jump. And the frame rate in this room is like 2 sometimes. Yep, missed it. I was not facing the correct direction. Luckily, I have a better setup for this than I used to, but this part is still horrible. Okay, there we go. When I was like early on learning this game, sometimes that jump took me like 10 tries. That was before I found the setup for it. Also, hitting these buttons here as quickly as possible is pretty important, because if one of those guards gets inside of the elevator won't move when you hit the button. So we gotta make sure we hit that. Here I gotta stay away from the patrolling Gungan there, because they want to talk about Gungan things. Like Crunchin and Bombad Jedis. So I just avoid them. Okay. Alright. So for a lot of these doors, closed doors, the solution that you're intended to do is to like talk it out and be like, hey, just open the door for me, please. But instead you can just kill him, and the game's like, oh, fine. Sure. Later on in the game, the just kill him approach doesn't work most of the time, or it's not intended to work, but here it does, which is nice. You're intended to do a button pushing puzzle and a block pushing puzzle to take down this blue force field, but instead, if I jump twice from that particular spot and then do a double jump while moving at a very specific angle and rate of turn, you can actually just clip through the floor and skip that entire puzzle. It's pretty good. On emulator, that's you don't even have to jump twice. It just kind of works. But on console, you have to do the double jump to slow down the frame rate to make that work consistently. So there's another puzzle where you're supposed to talk to the guy at the desk to get this to go up. But instead, you can just push him over, and then it counts the puzzle as solved. Alright, so now we're in the last bit where I need to go rescue Jar Jar from jail. And sometimes this part gets a little weird. There's some parts in Episode 1 where I do not want to clip out of bounds. This room is one of those parts. If you jump down into this room from the wrong spot, you will fall through the entire world and just die. That actually killed a few runs in the past. So I'm extra careful there exactly where I jump. Alright, so now I kill those 3 guards. You're technically not supposed to kill anybody in the stage, but the game just kind of lets you, I guess. And now the only thing keeping us from ending the level is a door blocking an elevator. If a way was found to open this door early or to click through it, then I wouldn't have to rescue Jar Jar at all. Because I tested it out by warping myself around that if you can get in here without Jar Jar, the game just ends the level anyways. So that would be a nice little time save if that could ever be found, but unfortunately we still have to rescue Jar Jar. Okay, so now level 4. As intended, level 4 Gardens of Theed is supposed to be like a 15-minute level. That's fairly long. There's a lot of platforming. There's a lot of combat you have to do. But they made a small oversight in designing this level. So just across this bridge is the end of the level. You'd be thinking, hey, streamer, why is this a 15-minute level? The exit's right there. Well, that's why. The bridge blows up. But you might notice this column on the right side of the blown-up bridge is still there. So, step 1, I need the rocket to blow up this thing in front of me. And this is random. This could have been immediately, or it could take forever. And that wasn't too bad, I guess. So here we got to make our first safety save, because there is a way to make this skip not work. And it's very easy to make this skip not work. So I have to jump around an invisible wall to keep this from collapsing. I gotta wait till it blows up, jump on top of that, not screw up that part. So for this jump, I think there's a 2-frame window is what I looked into for this. There's a 2-frame window, so 1/30th of a second, that I have to jump on the end of this column, and the hitbox for this column is not like, it's not square or rectangular or whatever. Okay. And then I also have to time my jump so that I jump at the exact latest possible time. Or else it also won't get me across. And then this is the dumbest part of all. So I ride up the destructible debris up and over the gate, and then end level. So normally there's 2 switches that you have to hit with your force lightning or force push. But instead, you have the tank blow up the piece of level geometry, and then it always breaks apart in the same way every time. So if you stand on this triangular piece of the block, that always blows up in a very specific path. If you can manage to stay on it, you can actually ride it up and over most of that gate. You still have to double jump off of the box thing, because if you didn't jump at all, you'd land short of the first part of the gate. If you jump too soon, you would actually go too far, and you can fall in between the level pieces there, because you're not supposed to get up there normally. So they put this big gap in between the 2 parts of the gate there. So it's very easy to screw that up too and fall through it. Okay, so this is Streets of Theed, or Escape from Theed. This is the worst level in the game by far. I hate this level so much. So this is an escort mission. I have to escort Queen What's-Her-Face over to the hangar. She's really slow. She likes getting shot a lot. So I gotta clear out all the battle droids from in front of her. I can't get too close to her or else she'll stop moving. I need to know at which parts in her movement she stops and says something dumb. Because if I'm not next to her when she does that, she won't continue moving. Here's another glitch. This is the ISG. If I could do it right. Okay, there we go. So ISG is the Infinite Saber glitch. It works essentially the same as the ISG glitch in Ocarina of Time and Zelda. The game essentially thinks I'm always swinging my lightsaber right now, and we'll see that put into effect right now. So I can just walk into these battle droids and they explode. So this makes lightsabers in the game behave like actual Star Wars lightsabers now. Just like that. Like that. So even though I'm knocking down some of these battle droids, I still have to walk into them again to make sure that they're dead, or as dead as robots can be. Alright.
Is now a good time to cut in?
Yes, it is.
Cool. We got 25 from Captain Clever. Says, Yo Purry, thank you for the run. I read about you in Valueology. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, all donators. You are all based. So here's a skip here. There's a battle droid behind this tank that happens to be the trigger for getting that tank to move. So you can just run into the tank at that angle and force push the battle droid behind it, and that'll cause the tank to move, which is pretty good. All right, so we move on here to this is probably the worst part of the level, or yeah, close to it. So gotta kill these guys. Alright, so from here, there's a dumb glitch that can happen where the, well, this too. There's gonna be some battle droids off to the left down there. They can actually shoot through the floor, or shoot through the ceiling, up and into the floor, and actually hit the queen from where they're at right now. Because Star Wars. Alright. So hopefully they don't do that. These I gotta kill before the queen will get out of the room that she's in. So here we can see the infinite saber glitch in full effect. And this battle droid wasn't moving. Okay, there we go. Alright, good. They actually didn't shoot her this time. That's refreshing. Okay. So now for one of the more difficult jumps in the game. If I blow up that, there's a full health in here, which I absolutely need, because this next part is really, really dangerous. Okay, so this is a completely unintended jump, and sometimes it just doesn't want to happen. So, I need to jump from here, wiggle in midair. There we go. Alright, good. We got it. So, there's a weird, like, probably unintended mechanic in the game, where if you jump and then wiggle in midair, you'll get slightly more distance in your jump, and it will get you across those gaps. Alright, for me. Okay, so here it's important that I have the flash grenades, which I'm sure, I think they're just grenades, but it's Star Wars, so they're flash grenades. I needed to have manipulated the drop for the flash grenades earlier by getting rid of all of my Gungan energy balls before I got like a quarter of the way through this level. Otherwise, I would have like 1 grenade instead of 5, and for this part, you need 5 grenades. This part's rough. So this is arguably the hardest part of the game, because you have to do this completely intended, and it rarely goes well. Okay. Blow them up. Okay, gotta push that guy over. Alright, so the queen should be moving here. Good. Oh, great. She got shot. Alright, so now I gotta kill this thing. Otherwise the queen would have been shot there. Okay. So the queen can take a lot of blaster shots, but she can't take all the blaster shots, so I gotta make sure that she doesn't get the business here. Okay, this guy sometimes randomly isn't here. I'm not sure why, but sometimes he just disappears. And this is another perfect time to do this, because as if that part wasn't hard enough, we now have to bring her all the way to the rest of the hangar. Okay, so we get them to move. So your most useful ability during this part is going to be Force Push, because you can pretty much just spam it, and it will get most of the droids out of the way. Sometimes she randomly just doesn't want to move. Where's the battle droid here? Where are the battle droids? What? Oh my god, this game. So those battle droids should have been there when I opened the door, but they weren't, because Star Wars. Alright, well that worked out, I guess. Sure. This might even be a gold split, by the way. Almost. That was almost a gold. Alright, well, sure. Okay, so now we're done with that level. That is the worst part of the speed run. So, good. We're done with that. So most of that level is done pretty much as intended, except for the infinite saber glitch, and that big old jump that I did about halfway through. Because that saves like 25 seconds of platforming for that one jump, but sometimes that jump just doesn't want to happen, and you'll spend like 3 minutes trying to get that jump. So it's weird. All right, so now that we're done with Coruscant, if you're playing along at home on your VHS copy of Phantom Menace, you should also be on Tatooine with us. So we landed outside Mos Espa, and we need to go get a replacement hyperdrive. So, if you recall from the epic story of Phantom Menace, we have to go to the junk dealer Watto and get one from him. And we'll also meet young Anakin Skywalker along the way. But you might not remember this part from the movie. So first things first, we're getting Padme and Jar Jar here. Jar Jar having no fun on this planet. I agree. All right, so here I need to do the infinite saber glitch again, but because I'm controlling Qui-Gon instead of Obi-Wan, I have to do it in a slightly different way. So, there we go, got it. Sometimes that doesn't want to work correctly. Speaking of working correctly, this part of the level loves to break. These Tusken Raiders have this like super jump ability where they can jump so high that they fall through the world. Normally that would be pretty cool because I wouldn't have to fight them, but the game doesn't calculate Padme's position until all of the Tusken Raiders are dead. And if one of the Tusken Raiders is currently at like coordinates -9 billion because he fell through the world, then
Hoota, hoota.
alright, that was important. Then the game just crashes, and that's happened to me at least once. Where one of the Tusken Raiders jumps at such a weird angle that he falls through the world, and then the game's like, nope, how about instead we just hardlock? Alright, so normally you're supposed to do this big fetch quest here to get items, but instead I just push that guy over. Go ahead, Boyks.
Yeah, we have a very timely donation here from Light Clutcher for $15. The message is Huda Huda.
Hoota, hoota.
Huda Huda.
Thank you for the donation. Alright, so we talked to Padme. That's for story stuff. I have to open this door as a later shortcut. Normally the blue Twi'lek lady there talks to you about a plot thing later. But it's great because not only do I skip her here, I also skip her in the intended part where you're supposed to talk to her. Also, by the way, that's Shmi Skywalker. She's a spooky ghost. Sure, this is all canon. So here's Anakin. He thinks we're pretty wizard because we're a Jedi. Now this is pod racing. So we're going to follow Anakin to a Watto shop because we can't go in through the front door. That would be too little gameplay. So instead we have to do some dumb platforming in the junkyard behind Watto's shop. Here I have to wait until Anakin crosses that, otherwise the sequence kind of soft locks. Here, oh. Make this jump. Alright. Now we're in Watto's shop. Watto won't actually talk to us immediately, so I go out here and start some dialogue with Anakin. And now I gotta wait until Watto becomes talkable, so we're gonna do some exercise. Okay. But here, I need to select the right things. So I mentioned before that we do episode 1 runs with the voices turned off. That's because in this game, if you have the voices on, you can skip the other person's dialogue, but you can't skip your own dialogue. And some of the dialogue in this game is pretty long. So that saves about 5 minutes over the course of the run, having voices off. So our current quest is to find parts for Anakin's pod racer, so that we can get him ready for the Boonta Eve race. one of the parts we already got by pushing a guy over towards the like 3rd mark in this level. And now we're about to go get the second part. Normally the game has safeguards in place to keep you from just killing NPCs that have the parts. But luckily this game is really poorly... That's not going to work. This game is really poorly programmed. And if you do things fast enough, you can actually get away with murdering NPCs before the game notices. So that guy blocked me there before I could get past him. Okay. So I need to get inside the shop here before the Jawa starts shooting at me. That's kind of the cue that I have. So now I have to hide in the shop and wait for Jar Jar to get over to his position. So that's why I'm jumping here. There we go. I'm looking for Jar Jar. Okay. Right there. I beat the in-game timer by like a second. So once those blaster shots started appearing, that's when the cue for, hey, you failed. Because normally if you kill an NPC that's important in Mos Espa, who's not like a street thug or something, then the game just goes, hey, you're a murderer. You can't just leave. But if you hide in the building for long enough and then get to Anakin quickly enough, then the game's like, all right, sure. You're clearly not a murderer because you broke line of sight for long enough. All right, now we're in the exciting pod race level. So normally you're supposed to talk to the blue Twi'lek lady, and then she brings you to a side building where you're supposed to take kind of the long way around the outside of this bit, and then there's like platforming and a bunch of like NPC conversations to get inside of this bit here. There you go. But because we're a Jedi, we can just jump through that fence because we're Jedi, right? And then because we're Jedi, I can also just jump through this wall because if you use the Force and believe, walls don't exist. There we go. We just skipped a bunch of dialogue, a bunch of cutscenes and platforming, and hey, suddenly Jabba the Hutt. Alright, so the quick way to get out of this dialogue is to select the second option and the second option. Kind of one of the dumb things in Star Wars, one of the many dumb things, is that you can actually change which dialogue option is selected before the menu even appears. And sometimes that can really screw up things. Alright, so there's a scripted story fight here, which can sometimes go wrong, so I'll safety save here. I'm not even sure what the intended method to do this is, but the strat that the speedrun uses is to just give this guy the business before he even appears. So this guy is just coming out of this tunnel, and he doesn't become like an active AI combatant until he's all the way off the spikes. And I'm still able to damage him before he even gets out. So got him, gave him the business. Sometimes that doesn't go really correct, but that went just fine. Okay, so normally there's a big old like dialogue chain that you're supposed to do here to open up 2 sets of doors to get to Watto. But instead, there is this very difficult and dangerous clip you have to do here. So here's a clip to get into the wall. Here's a clip to get on top of the wall. Here is a clip... Oh, if I do it right. If I do it... Oh, God. Messed up the third part. I have to do a clip into the wall, a clip jump on top of the wall, onto a very small section of the top of the wall. And then I have to jump around an invisible barrier around the door. So this... right there, okay. That's how you do it. Okay, so that was door number 1. And then door number 2 here, I need to jump on top of this, and then do a similar jump around an invisible barrier around that door. And that gets us to Watto. So that skipped like 2 fetch quests, a bunch of dialogue, and real easy. So in here, you're intended to backtrack down to the into the stands of the arena to get down to the pod race area, but you can actually just jump down here, and that works too. For whatever reason, there isn't a kill plane on the pod racer engine in that little junkyard area, so you could just jump down there, and that's way easier than backtracking. So now we got to chase this guy. This guy stole a piece of Anakin's pod racer engine. And before I get to him, I need to get this health here. there's a mini boss fight coming up, and it is way safer to just grab that. This is also needed for the mini boss fight. Okay, keep chasing this guy. The frame rate drops here because there's actually a Tusken Raider following me during that part, but he gives up once you get past the green pod racer. So here's another bit where the game can really screw me over if it despawns things that I need. So here's the last spot while safety save the level. So here I need to hit the boss here with, I think it's 3 grenades, and sometimes the grenades just don't exist after I throw them. So I gotta be really careful. Okay, alright, are you ready for some exciting pod race action? There I had to drop down into a specific part, because if you drop down anywhere but where I landed, you'll die. Alright, now this is pod racing. I could turn on voices for this, but it would add like 2 minutes. That's just how dumb the voice handling is in this game. Now this is pod racing. For the record, out of all 3 Star Wars prequel movies, Phantom Menace is my favorite. Like, unironically, I actually really like Phantom Menace. I think Episode 3 is my second favorite, and Attack of the Clones least favorite. Alright, wasn't that exciting? That was pod racing. Okay, so now we saw that hype pod racing segment, and now we're going to have the always incredible encounter in the desert. So, as I'm sure you recall from the thrilling saga of the Phantom Menace film, Darth Maul is after us, and he's been training his entire life to kill the Jedi. So naturally, this fight in the desert is going to be really cool. Like, even though the fight in the movie was like 20 seconds long, it was still a really cool fight, and it's just as cool in the game. Alright, here we go. So I gotta force push these things. The little probe droids. And then, here's part 1 of the Darth Maul fight, where I do this. So normally that little rock wall thing is supposed to fall in front of you, but if you do this correctly, you can... well, if you do it really correctly, you can skip that cutscene, but if you do it on the right side there, you could just go right past. So, Darth Maul's after me right now, I think. Come on, where are you, Darth Maul? There you are, okay. Alright, are you ready for this? This thrilling encounter in the desert? Oh man. Whew. We did it, you guys. Toughest fight in the game. I actually lost 13 seconds there because I triggered that cutscene with the first bit. If you get the angle just right as you're going past the rock wall falling trigger, then it won't even play it. But if you go like straight parallel with the wall, it will trigger it. It's weird. Okay, so now this level.
I'm relieved we've reached Coruscant safely. Now we need only find Senator Palpatine.
Your Highness, Obi-Wan and I must present Anakin to the Jedi Council.
Very well. Captain Panaka and I will be quite safe, I'm sure. It's only a short air taxi ride to the Senate. Thank you for your help. May the Force be with you.
Take care, Your Highness. May the Force be with you. Come along, Anakin. Your destiny awaits.
Welcome to Coruscant, Your Highness. Please allow me to show you to your air taxi.
Alright, so now we are controlling everybody's favorite Star Wars character,
This way, Your Highness.
Captain Panaka. So I need to go over there to trigger the hover cannons to start attacking. Oh. Okay.
We must find a way to escape this platform.
Oh, okay. Alright. So now I gotta wait for the Queen to get up and get on the space bus. Otherwise...
Hurry!
Alright.
Welcome to
Yes, please.
Okay.
Very good, sir.
So there's a lot of ways that you can game over here. I had to be super careful there because if the Queen is not on the space bus and you talk to Space Bus Robot, it'll say the Queen has died. If the Queen is on the space bus but she's kneeling, it'll say the Queen has died. Let's see. What else? If the Queen gets shot more than like twice, she just dies.
Think it is safe to proceed?
Even though in like previous levels she could take like 100 shots and still not die. Sometimes in this level she doesn't follow you. By the way, this level's super broken. So normally there's a quest chain to do this, but instead you can just shoot this this droid, and it opens the door. So we were supposed to go get tickets to the Coruscant tour, but our ticket was a blaster shot to the face, and that got us into this area. So now when you drop down here,
I'm not jumping down there.
what's supposed to happen is the Queen gets captured by some bounty hunters or something. But instead, because we skipped a bit here,
We have to get out of here.
the Queen never gets kidnapped. So that's important. Important that Queen Amidala is perfectly safe. And why is this not working? Star Wars. All I want to do is push this.
We must
crate.
hurry. They'll be coming back
Okay,
soon.
there we go. Sometimes, yeah, the crate physics in this game are pretty special. Yeah, Panaka shot first in this version, as in every version. All right. So I don't know if you could tell, but if you
More hover cannons will be coming.
if you try and pull a crate while you're perpendicular to it, it'll pull it at an angle because episode 1. Okay, so because we skipped a bunch of stuff, I need to go across this bridge really carefully by hugging the wall like this.
We must hurry.
For almost every pixel of this bridge, there is a game over plane. That if I touch it, it says the Queen has died. Because the game is really confused at which point we're in.
More hover cannons will be coming.
But luckily there's a very narrow area on that bridge where you could just go right on past the kill plane. Alright,
They'll be coming back soon.
they'll be coming back soon. Yeah, that Qui-Gon face is pretty good. More hover cannons.
More hover cannons will be coming.
Perfect. Nailed it. Alright, the trigger to open this blue force field is to kill this guy right here. Then I jump to avoid some of the shots here. And we're good. There's a lot of really dumb out-of-bounds and clips that I found for this part of the level, but very few of them actually save time. So there could have been a whole lot more out-of-bounds in this particular section. But unfortunately, most of them are slow.
We have to get out of here.
Alright. So I could fall through the world here by doing this, so I'll just do this, and it'll give us a nice little safety save if needed. Right here and right here. So sometimes that jump will just put you through the floor, and you do not want to be through the floor, because it will just
We
kill
must
you.
hurry.
Okay. So doing this jump saves having to wait for
I'm really hungry. Got any spare food?
the elevator to
We
come
have
down.
to get out of here.
So if you do this quick enough, you can just hit the
hover
button on
cannons
the
will be
left
coming.
and then continue. But the timing for it is so ridiculous that I don't even bother going for that anymore. Because if you end up
have
missing
to
the
get out of
timing, you
here.
have to go back anyways. So I don't feel it's worth it. So we need to
More
go
hover
and
cannons will be coming.
save the Queen
We must hurry.
because she got kidnapped,
They'll be
right?
coming back soon.
She's definitely not just talking to us all the time. She definitely got kidnapped.
We have to get out of here.
So hey, here she is. And as always, Panaka shot
to
first.
escape before they get back.
Alright, so we got the queen back from being kidnapped. Hit this button. Sometimes the queen doesn't follow you.
Soon.
I gotta make sure that she does.
More hover cannons will be coming.
Alright, in this
Lead
next
on.
bit, this is a pretty easy puzzle, but the queen has a habit sometimes
They'll be coming back soon.
of pushing Captain Panaka through this little bridge that's here
We need to find our way out
and clipping
right
him through the
behind
bridge and killing him. So I gotta be really quick
you.
there.
More hover cannons will be coming. We have to get out of here. We must hurry.
This is Queen Amidala,
We have to get out of here.
aka Padme, played by Natalie Portman.
Must hurry.
And this is absolutely Natalie Portman. Also, this is the easiest out of bounds in the game. You just jump from like right here, and you're on top of the level. So you could just go like this.
We have to get out of here.
Unfortunately, this is not useful in the speedrun.
We must hurry.
When I was doing some glitch hunting, I was trying to find uses for that,
You have attempted to gain it.
Coruscant has lovely sunsets.
but no go on that one.
Thank you.
Alright, so here's a mini-boss. This boss can be kind of difficult if you don't cheese him out. Luckily, there's a really easy cheese strat for this boss. I just need to get up here. So this is the same kind of jump that I did a bit earlier, that I made the safety save before. And it's just not working. There we go. Okay.
We must hurry.
So this is a melee boss. I have a blaster. So, melee boss currently cannot get to me, because I'm shooting him from atop a ledge. So we get his health down to about half, and then start shooting him in the face while jumping backwards. And that makes that boss much easier than as
We must
intended.
reach Senator Palpatine's chambers as soon as possible.
Alright. There we go.
More hover cannons will be coming.
So the casual strat, I guess, is to just stay on the ground floor, shoot while jumping backwards, and that generally works most of the time. But you can get rid of half of his health just from that
We
little
have
ledge
to get
there.
out of here.
So that ends up being the way to go for speedruns. Alright, so here's the end of the level. If things all work out properly, sometimes the queen has some pretty good
They'll be coming back soon.
lines during this cutscene.
There's the Senate chamber.
Alright, here we go. Let's see if we get some good interjections here.
We have to get out of here.
Your Highness, you're quite late. I was worried.
More hover cannons will be coming.
Aw.
Hello, Senator. Thank you for allowing me to address the Senate.
My pleasure,
Oh, it
Your
didn't. It was
Highness.
almost perfect.
However, I fear that it will do no good. While a fair man, Supreme Chancellor Valorum has shown that he lacks resolve. He has been unable to convince the Senate to help us.
We have to get out of here. Surely there must be something we can do. Naboo is suffering.
We may be able to get a quicker resolution. If you raise a vote of no confidence, we will be able to remove Valorum and elect someone with more authority.
They'll be coming back soon. If that is what it takes to free my people, Senator, then that is what I'll do.
Excellent, Your Highness. Right this way. The Senate is about to convene.
Alright. There's a Coruscant level. And now we're back to Naboo for the final bit of the game here. So the next level is Assault on Theed. Normally this level is in, I believe it's 6 different parts, where you're switching back and forth between Padme and Obi-Wan to do this bit. It's a really long level, really complicated. There's a lot of pretty annoying bits, but instead, at the start of the level, I go into the hangar here while holding down triangle, so I have to kind of grip the controller in a weird way, because I have to keep my index finger on triangle, I have to hit X with my thumb, and then hold down R1 to run. So then I get over here, I jump and hit forward to go into this, And then I need to continue holding down force push because this keeps me out of a cutscene. And then I do this. It sounds like he died, but what actually happened is we hit the end of the level trigger, and and then it loads the final level of the game. So that skipped like a at least 20-minute level if you do it quickly. So there we go. There's a 20-minute level completely skipped. And now we're into the final level. So this is another 6-part level where you're changing between Padme and Obi-Wan. So the first bit's as Padme, and then there's supposed to be a Obi-Wan bit where he does a bunch of platforming in the I guess reactor room. I don't know what the big purple area is, but it's some Star Wars thing. So here is a totally intended method to get past this part of the level. So this is completely intended. George Lucas approved this himself. We do this. And then this. Yep, this checks out. Okay. So this skipped like saving a bunch of prisoners, I think, is what you're supposed to do in that part of the level. But instead, we just jump on top of the level. I also did some investigations into this to skip more with that out of bounds thing there, but it would have been way too precise to do real time. Maybe in a task, I could skip more there, but not in real time. All right. And now this, you're supposed to push a block to get that, but you can actually just jump around it. So now that we got the red key, we just jump around this. Turn in our red key here, hopefully make that jump. Nope. Not a big deal if you missed that one. And that's the end of the first Padme section. Here's the first Obi-Wan section that you're intended to do. This part, I'm on a very tight cycle that I need to make here. This part is a lot more difficult than it looks because the walkways here are super narrow and the controls in this game aren't exactly amazing. So I gotta make it over to this before this gets out of reach, and we did it. First try. Okay, so just past this bit is the end of the first Obi-Wan section, but we're not gonna go trigger the second Padme section. Instead, we're going to jump down into what would have been the second Obi-Wan section down here, if this works. The part of the ledge here that I'm trying to land on is really weird. It's like only half of this area you can actually properly land on, and it's not consistent. So you just kind of have to make that jump and hope for the best. Alright, this I do have a setup for. By lining up the lightsaber icon with that purple thing, that lets me get up here. That is also really precise. If you don't make that, then it triggers the third and final Padme section. Like if I run back and went over to that door, once the door starts opening, that starts loading Padme's section. Alright, so now we're just doing a bit of platforming here. So essentially this should have been 6 different mini-levels in this, but the speedrun route, you only have to do 2 of them. Maybe right up this. I can't drop down there immediately because if you fall from too high of a height, it just kills you, as it should. Alright, so now we get the epic final showdown. If you're watching this on VHS and double speed, you should also be on this incredible climactic final battle. Here's, what is this, Duel of the Fates? And now sometimes this goes horribly wrong, so let's just do this. So here's the final battle. I'm sure it will be epic, as all Star Wars final battles are. Though, hey, we just run past Darth Maul, do this. And then, time for the final battle. And time. 51:57 is what my timer's got. Sorry I didn't give you advance notice on that. But that was the incredible end to an incredible speed run. Amazing. Amazing video game, you guys. And then to top it all off, we're going to get some actual footage from the movie. I hope you're all ready for this. Is this world record? This was a this week world record. Yeah, sure.
Through the magic of Beam.Pro, I also got 51:57.
Excellent. All right, here we go. Here's the footage from the movie. Hope you're all ready. All right, photorealistic, amazing. Then we get the credits, but I'm gonna skip the credits. There is a very important time that I need to see, my in-game time right after this. So let's see what we got. Let's see what we got here. So my in-game time is 2:73:03. Yes, and my rating is Jedi Master. The rating at the top is actually based off of how quickly you beat the game. And I've actually done speedruns where I did not get the best in-game time rating, even though they were actually good times, so I have no idea. But yeah, the way that they got the quote-unquote in-game time is adding up all of those numbers, like adding them up to 100. Like, it's not in minutes, I don't think. Or, I don't know. I don't know what the hell they were doing with this. But, yeah, that was Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace on the PlayStation 1. I hope you all enjoyed. Some point in the near future, I'm actually going to post, like, the tutorials and, like, step-by-step how to do this speedrun on YouTube. Because I've been meaning to do that for a while, because this is a hot speed game, and it's, except for Escape from Feed near the middle of the run, the rest of the run's actually fun to do. So, I hope y'all enjoyed it too. Thank y'all for the donations. And that should do it.